Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all honor, all praise, and all glory unto Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Ba'ashem, Rachak Wadash. Double honors to the elder apostles and bishops of the great millstone that rule well. And as always, peace, blessings, and salutations to the hopeful elect tabernacle of David scattered abroad across the four winds of the earth. Now, this is fair use, and I just want to utilize this video. This is from Mediocre Tutorials and Reviews, the brother that you see on the right. And he was basically doing content on this situation where you had the MMA fighter Rampage Jackson, his son, got into a real sticky situation, where he pretty much lost himself, and he ended up doing something that can very well pretty much ruin his life. Legal action can be taken against him, and he can even do serious time. Because Jake. One thing about Jake is they get so vengeful and hot-headed, and they don't know how to control their temper. Jake is just so dedicated to getting they lick back. And that's how Jake is, It's the same sentiment in every single neighborhood. Every hood where Jake is at, that's the spirit that's on them. Because they didn't learn up under, a masculine father on how to be more logical and less emotional. So that ended up being his downfall for John Jackson. All right, so I'm gonna use this clip, for the lesson, because if his father was in the truth, let's say if Rampage Jackson was in the truth, then he would have been able to sit down and instruct his son. And, he would have basically learned and got schooled to the wisdom that's contained in these scriptures that would help you, maneuver through life, applying wisdom, to keep you out of, these type of troublous situations. So without further ado, I'm going to just play it real quick.
I'll get it there. Hey, as long as I get my lick back, I'm straight. I'm straight. Now, at this point, he's accepted the apology. He says that he's straight. He's going to get in the ring. He's going to get his lick back. To me, he's not even really that mad at it. But watch what happens later. And this is so...
Now, if you want the whole backstory, you can actually, watch this whole video from the beginning, to see, where everything started, why Jake feel like he got to get his lick back. Because he's a fighter too, just like his father. All right, and he got into it with a pro wrestler who, at the time, I think he was drinking a little bit, and when he came around these wrestlers, the dude thinking that, okay, this might be a guy that I can actually use in a scene, and maybe he'll understand that, we're just role playing. Because those of you that's familiar with wrestling, it's really just entertainment. It's all scripted. It's not really real. But the wrestling part, you getting physical, that part is real. But they have storylines and they act it out. So it's all just acting at the end of the day. So this pro wrestler, he had a bit to drink, but anytime he's around the other wrestlers, they might do something like, crack a can over your head. It'll be like a prop or something like that. And he decided to try that with Rampage Jackson's son, and he didn't know what was going on, and it took him by surprise, and he wasn't feeling it. He felt disrespected. His ego took a little hit. because he lives in the shadow of his father. His father being a professional, skilled MMA fighter. So he took it as a sign of disrespect, and that's what built up to him, making the decision that he made, which, you're going to see later on. All right. Basically, he's in a world of trouble right now because his father didn't teach him how to have self-control, control himself. So let's continue.
Important.
This is kind of the turning point in the night as Roger gets time to chill out and kind of think
that's
about
his
everything.
trainer right here.
Gets rage baited by all the comments in the stream.
This nigga got knocked out. I didn't even get knocked out. Why didn't you fuck that guy up? Cause nigga, if I would have done something, then they would have kicked me out of this shit. Then there would be no more stream today. That shit pissed me off, bro. It didn't even hurt. It just pissed me off. He's getting baited.
Yeah, these were a bunch of, wicked people, that happened to be on his stream, and all they were doing in the comment section, in the chat section, was just trying to, rage baiting. It was probably disrespecting them and saying that, hey, you a pussy if you don't do nothing about it. Go and get your lick back. So they was egging him on, and it was pretty much encouraging him to get vengeance. And he was basically feeding into that energy. And him being young, a lot of people they give in to peer pressure, enticement, people that instigate, and they was basically instigating this situation. You don't know these people. You don't even know who they are. They don't personally know you. But he's feeding right into their comments. So Rampage Jackson's son, he was not that bright. Because he didn't have anything to prove. But watch how this fuels his behavior, and it led to him basically doing something that is going to ultimately cost him.
Read in the comments. I know this is crazy. This is like my third or fourth stream.
Now, at this point of the night, Roger's dad, Rampage, got informed on what's been going on with his son on his kick stream.
And this is
through the comments.
Keep watching.
I'm watching the stream. I'm watching my son's stream. Where the fuck? Oh, he at the pro wrestling thing.
I'm good, King Cat. I'm good. I'm straight. It's cool. Now this is his pops, who he looks up to. Trying to get respect from, but not being the image of. Trying to forge and create his own path.
Let me call my son. Yeah, it's a pro wrestling event.
Now, whether or not they're just doing it for content or what have you, pay attention to this interaction.
Men in tights and shit.
Men in tights.
I'm also
I looked at his stream.
sorry.
No, it's too
I'm
loud.
not to apologize, right?
Hey,
Yo,
Because when I mentioned
did you get jumped by a bunch of dudes in tights,
I didn't even
nigga?
tell
You said
where
what?
to get tickets.
Did you get jumped by a bunch of dudes in tights?
no.
Why didn't you tell me?
No.
You were
You got a
recording me
problem.
the whole time. You couldn't tell
Do
me
I need to send my goons over there?
No.
This is crazy. I thought we were a family, y'all.
One word answer.
What is going
Did
on
your coach take care of
right now?
everything?
I apologize. So let me put
Yeah,
y'all
I'm
in the
straight.
right direction.
You straight. I looked at your stream because my chat was going crazy. And then by the time I popped in your stream, you was hugging on a dude in some damn tights.
Man, shut the fuck up.
Man, you shut the fuck up. I looked at your stream, nigga, you was hugging on some dude in some booty shorts.
I wasn't fucking hugging on nobody.
I saw you, nigga. I saw you hugging on your
you
coach.
have some sexual fantasy. You need to stop that shit.
No, I don't got no sexual fantasy, nigga.
See, and this is part of the problem. Though he's a professional, he's a skilled fighter. He put in that work. He's made good money. But that didn't translate over to him being the best father, because you pay attention to their relationship, it damn near sound like they homies rather than father and son. And that's the issue. As a father, he's supposed to reverence you. So if he reverence you, he's not going to just talk to you any kind of way, out of respect. All right. And then on top of that, he probably wasn't good in the sense of, showing, behavioral patterns and certain manners that's becoming of a rational man, because, Jake in particular, they act off of impulse, quick to get violent, and they associate that with masculinity. So I'm pretty sure he never got a chance to sit down with his son. And I'm not saying like as if, it's a fact or not, I don't know, but based on how his son is reacting and the action that he actually took and what led to him getting in trouble is the fact that he never learned to have self-control. Now, the scriptures say, let me grab a scripture now. We go to the book of Sirach. Let's go to the book of Sirach, the 30th chapter. Yeah, Sirach 30. And I'm going to read I'm going to start at verse 9. I mean, you could read from the top, but I'm going to just get straight to the point, because it tells you if you love your son, you're going to often, cause him to feel the rod. I mean, you're going to chasten him. All right. You're not going to let no bullshit slide. All right. You're going to basically discipline him. Sirach 30 and 9, it says, I'll start at 8. It says, a horse not broken becometh headstrong, and a child left to himself will be willful. Conquer thy child, and he shall make thee afraid. Play with him, and he will bring thee to heaviness. And you see, even in this clip, before the situation happened, where he's actually instigating, just like those people in that stream that's trying to basically fuel him and encourage him and gas him up to show that he's tough. So he has this relationship where they can just talk to each other, and the way they're talking to each other, that's acceptable. That's cool. And you see that a lot you see that a lot on social media, where, you'll have Jake or you'll have Eve, and they'll have they child on camera, and their child is, doing inappropriate shit that's really embarrassing, but they'll think that it's funny and cute, and they'll post it up to social media, trying to get clicks and views and clout. You don't play with them. So your child, eventually they're not going to take you serious if you don't take them serious. It says, laugh not, Slakia. It says, play with him and he will bring thee to heaviness. Laugh not with him, lest thou have sorrow with him, and lest thou gnash thy teeth in the end. And you're going to see that that's the case with him now. He having this little talk with his son, and it seems to be, playful, talking shit to each other, but he don't realize what just fueled him, because his ego was hurt, and he really felt like he had something to prove, and he was harping on that, the whole time. You could tell that everything that transpired, it was all premeditated. It was all in his mind. And the scriptures tell you in Matthew, you know, what comes out of a man doesn't what did Yahushua say? I just went over it. Basically, what goes into you doesn't defile you, but what comes out of you is what defiles you. And what comes out of you comes from the heart. And what comes out of the heart, what proceeds to come out of your heart? You know, wicked thoughts, the evil eye, you know, murder. All right, all these different evil things. That's basically sinful. So it was already premeditated in Jake to go and get his lick back. So you can, hey, this wisdom, it teaches, because you can learn from it and you can apply it to where you don't make the same mistakes. Jake is without wisdom. That's what the scriptures say. They're destroyed for the lack of knowledge. So let's continue.
So I got some eyeballs. I saw you
making shit up.
I ain't make nothing up.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, was you not around a bunch of dudes who the Thunder's gone?
Pro wrestling show.
Oh, you're the pro wrestling show.
He wants to be mama right here. That's my
I thought you was a muscle at a baby award show, nigga. And I was all listening to shit.
Rick the whole thing.
All right, long as you say.
You never know. Y'all keep playing with me and I'll go right take it. So get over there.
All right. Wait.
Now y'all got my son mad at me.
What?
Are y'all happy now? He straight up dissed me.
Okay. So listen, this is...
And that's it. And that's, come on, man. He failed his son right there. So, you know, though his son is in deep shit, he has himself to blame. He should be held accountable, like his son is being held accountable. Now, I don't even know if charges was taken against him yet, if charges are being pressed. You know, I don't know the condition of the pro wrestler that he, you know, damn near sent to the spiritual realm. But, you know, it's looking bad. People thought that he was actually dead. All right. When his son did what he did, a lot of people thought that pro wrestler, because he wasn't responsive. He was completely out. People thought he was dead. And this can be treated as an attempted murder, but you're going to see. But this is all what led to that situation. All right. Nobody was mature in this whole ordeal.
At the point that whether or not you're a father right now, or if you are a potential father in the future, we got to be able to understand. We got to be able to unpack this, right? Because, again, there's no doubt in my mind whether or not Rampage loves his son, but he also treats his son like his friend, like his boy. And
that's what I'm saying. You know, their relationship, it looks more like they both were homies and not father and son, and that's not cool. And it's like that in a lot of Jake households. You know, the mother treating her daughter like she her little homegirl. And when they be talking, they be, you know, cussing at each other. You know, they be in competition with each other. It's just like, but hey, you know, Jake under that curse, you know, bind the strong man, and then you spoil the house. And that's what ultimately happened with Jake.
And he's saying all of these things while public, while live. And to not think that it's not impacting his boy to a degree. Like, at what point are you going to take off, you know, the Frank cap and put on the father cap? If you know something like that is happening. Now, again, I know that within their live streams, they constantly go back and forth, but the father's going to be able to set the tone. And this is already a son that is trying to get out of the image of the father and to have the father, you know, slide across a bunch of gay jokes. Meanwhile, I know with me, He just cussed around his father. I had never cussed around my father. God rest his soul. I had never cussed around. My father would cuss in and around. He would never cuss at me, but he would cuss in and around my space. But I would never, out of respect of my father, never say that back. Okay? So with Roger, you already are in the realm of friendship with your father who's egging you on. And now he's looking down in the comment section of the videos, letting the internet rage bait him or dictate his emotions, dictate his pride, dictate his egos, and then ultimately his actions. What Raja demonstrates is weakness disguised as strength, mixed in with a little.
That's why the scriptures say, if sinners entice thee, don't consent. You know, because they can get you in a world of trouble, man. Proverbs 1:10. Let's see what it say in the AMP. Yeah, it says, my son, if sinners entice you, do not consent. You know, because that can very well happen, man. Proverbs 1:10 in the NLT, my child, if sinners entice you, turn your back on them. You know, like I said, dude didn't have nothing to prove. That wrestler that did what he did, he apologized, you know. And Jake, you know, for a minute, he said that it didn't, when the situation happened, he wasn't, you know, he wasn't hurt by it. You know, it didn't hurt him, but he just felt disrespected. But the man, he actually sobered up and apologized. But it was still lingering on Jake's mind to you know, get his lick back. That's why the scripture also say, and let me grab it. I believe it's in, was it Galatians? No, not Galatians. Ephesians. Yeah, here it is. Ephesians 4:26, it says, be ye angry and sin not. Let not the sun go down upon your wrath, neither give place to the devil. You know, because then, you know, you're placed in a situation where Satan, he has the advantage. Now you playing right into his game, and it usually falls in a very dark place. You end up making a wrong decision that you'll regret for the rest of, you know, your time on earth. A lot of niggas are behind bars because of that. You know? And you know, the scriptures talk about, you know, anger resting in the bosom of fools. And also let me grab this in Proverbs. So really, Rampage Jackson, he should have read his son the whole book of Proverbs. You know, if he would have been able to apply any of these wise sayings in these Proverbs, you know, he would have probably thought upon it, and, you know, he would have, you know, saved himself. This is Proverbs 14. In 17, it says, short-tempered people do foolish things, and schemers are hated. All right, let me get that in the AMP. It says, a quick-tempered man acts foolishly and without self-control, and a man of wicked schemes is hated. You know, and a lot of Jake out there, they're a bunch of hotheads. You know, soon angry, you know, very quick to pop off, you know, fly off the handle. And then a lot of these women, they get turned on when they see that. They think that that's the prototype quintessential man, that, you know, you're not masculine or a man if you ain't behaving in this fashion, you know. And that's why these women end up getting with these type of dudes, and they end up getting their head bust open. He end up in prison, or he out there in some street activity, And he don't come home, but he left you with a baby though. He's locked away and incarcerated. And you being attracted to that. No, you should be attracted to a man who's self-composed, who's a rational thinker, man. Because he would be able to be ahead on situations and would be able to lead you in the house. But these chicks be looking for these crash outs. That attracts them, that turns them on. And then, when it goes bad and now she's on her own with a child, now she blames all men. There ain't no good men out there. No, you just made a bad decision. So he should, if he would have read the book of Proverbs, he would have probably spared himself. The dude, you in a professional, you're in the world of profession now. You got a profession. And then you living in the shadow of a famous man. So that's all bad. Proverbs 14:29, this is also in the AMP. It says, he who is slow to anger has great understanding and profits from his self-control. But he who is quick-tempered exposes and exalts his foolishness for all to see. And this definitely went viral and it made headlines. All right, all over the news and, social media. And he's getting dragged because of this. He waited for his opportunity and he went in there and he did what he did.
He slams him on his back.
Yeah, hit his head. He ended up unconscious, and the dude proceeded to just throw a gang of hooks on him while he was unconscious. He punched him to oblivion. And if it wasn't for the other wrestler getting in and stopping him, he could have killed the man. Now the dude that he pummeled was an Edomite, but that's not the point. We still in this man's kingdom. And Jake doing stuff like this, this devil can't wait to demonize you. So he, for all we know, he's probably a wanted man now. Some of them white supremacists, and they love to take Jake's head off right now. So this wasn't a good look. All right, you're supposed to be professional. So it says, I'm gonna read it again. It says, he who is slow to anger has great understanding and profits from his self-control, but he who is quick-tempered exposes and exalts his foolishness for all to see. And this is a bad look on Rampage Jackson. You didn't teach your son how to, control himself. Jake just think because they know some moves, they lift weights and they're strong and they learn how to fight. So therefore, that should just be your reflex. Nah, man. You don't learn that skill just to be quick to use it. You use it when it's needful. So this is why Jake is finna catch it. He already catching flack, all over on social media from the people. And who knows if he saw, the system was gonna crack down on him. And now you're losing your career. Father has to lose his son. And we'll see what happens, if anything comes of it. They definitely would love to make an example out of a nigga. Now let's go from there to Proverbs 16 and verse 32. And it says, he who is slow to anger is better and more honorable than the mighty soldier, and he who rules and controls his own spirit than he who captures a city. So it's better if a man can know how to control himself, stay, cool, calm, and collected, rational, reserved, because it ain't gonna be easy for you to get into his head, to control him. If somebody can get into your head and make you get emotional, they can damn near have control over you. So it'll be easier to conquer a city than to conquer a man who's self-reserved and rational and has self-control. But somebody that's without that, he's just so quick to crash out because he's overly emotional. Man, anything can get through to him and to make him wild out and make poor, irrational decisions. And we're dealing with this every day. We're amongst these type of people every day. Discipline is not something that's highlighted in this society. It's not a value in Western culture. So people, they act out of, emotion and impulse. Don't even think about the consequences, the accountability. So let me go from there. Let me get this one. There's one more script. And this is Proverbs 25 and 28. And it says, like a city that is broken down and without walls, leaving it unprotected, is a man who has no self-control over his spirit and sets himself up for trouble. And that's Roger Jackson. He set himself up for trouble, man. Playing into, these bots on the internet that charged him up, that gassed him up. So yeah, this is definitely something to learn from, of course. Knowing how to apply, self-control, man. Contain yourself. So that's pretty much it. Hopefully I was edified. I'm gonna give all honor, praise, and glory to Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai. Until the next one, Shalom.